Are you ready?
Hey peeps, how's it going? And I'm still sick as a dog. I think I'm getting better. At the same time, I feel worse. I don't know. But today, a couple things here. We are going to be talking about if the Pistons should go after Jeff Green or possibly re-signing Glenn Robinson III or not both. So I'm going to get into that in a second. But real quick, Wednesday or tomorrow or whenever you're watching this, Pistons Center Court is going to be on Troxel Sports Talk channel. So go check him out. Link will be in the description. Hopefully I can feel better by Friday and have the show on my show or my channel, but we'll see. But for right now, we're talking what I want to talk about, and that is acquiring Jeff Green. Now, Jeff Green has had a roller coaster career. He's had some good years team-wise in Boston, and he's balled out a couple times in like Memphis before Memphis traded him. I believe he played for Washington last season. To be honest with you, I don't know, because Washington was kind of a cluster, but at the same time, I've watched him throughout his career, and when he's been the guy, he can perform and drop 30 points and help carry your team and be an effective scorer. He's a solid defender and can play a little bit of shooting guard, small forward, and even at times power forward. Now, he's really a small forward when it comes down to it, but he can play multiple positions if you want to play small ball or go big. So that's something to look into. But, excuse me, primarily with this team, you're looking for a solid wing defender who can shoot threes. Now, is he a lights-out three-point shooter? No. He's not terrible at it. He's more, I would say, like a poor man's Harrison Barnes. I think that's a fair comparison. He's not really just a 3-and-D guy. He puts the ball on the floor and drives to the basket. But, he's a solid scoring option to help take pressure off of Blake Andre. He would be the cheaper solution, and possibly with how cheap you can get him, because I don't think he's going to be looking for a ton of money, and he could really help the Pistons get to the next tier. And the next tier is moving on from the 8th spot and becoming the 6th seed, which, it's not really much of an improvement, but it's something to look forward to. And I don't think he's going to be the guy that's going to help get us to the championship like right away. He's not that caliber guy, obviously, but he would be enough to help us move up a couple spots in playoff seeding. Obviously, with some of the rumors happening right now of LeBron being traded to Philadelphia and Philadelphia moving on from Ben Simmons, I don't know if Ben Simmons is going to be there. If they do trade away Ben Simmons, it's a very good possibility they re-sign Tobias Harris or Jimmy Butler. It seems like they'd be going in a different direction. There was also a rumor of them trading for CP3, which I could talk about that stuff in a later. But what I'm trying to say is, if there's that kind of chaos with Philly, because I don't think Philly knows if they're going to keep Brent Brown or move on from their players, that might make it a little bit more fun to watch the standing-wise. Philly might be spiraling out of control, although they got a long way to fall. Boston is off the rails. There's opportunity to move up. So, at the same time, I think teams like Indiana is going to get better, especially acquiring Victor Oladipo when he gets healthy. They could really take off again. So, adding someone of that caliber that can play defense and has been around the league. He's been on some good teams. He's been on some bad teams. He's pretty much been championship teams. I know he was on Cleveland the last year LeBron was there. So, Jeff Green's been everywhere. He has been played for a lot of teams, but That comes with his experience. He could probably be a leader. I don't know. If you get him for the right price, I'd go for it. He's not going to knock anyone's socks off playing, but I wouldn't mind getting him if you get him for cheap. The price has got to be right. I'm not overpaying for him. So if we get him for a good deal, lights out. Let's get him. On to Glenn Robinson. He is a free agent, and I think he signed for a minimum last season, which if you can get him for the same contract you got him this time, no problem re-signing him. I think that's a solid move. I still think he's got a lot of room to grow. His defense is there. Great defender. His offense just didn't click. So that is all teachable stuff. It's way easier to teach offense than it is defense. Defense is really a mentality, and he's got that. So I would love to have him back and possibly have him be the small forward coming in off the bench. But he is one of those guys that can play starter or bench depending on how thin we're stretched. So if you can get both those two guys, I think that would be an extremely good offseason of filling need. And then moving into the draft, or, if we don't sign these guys until after the draft, however it's going to work, you don't have to draft with need. You can draft with what's the best player available, because I said this in the last video, and we talked about this on Pistons Center Court, what was it, last week on Friday, I believe. NBA and NFL is different. NFL, you draft for need primarily until you start getting out of the third and fourth round, and then you start drafting with the best player available. But in the NBA, it doesn't matter who you got on your roster. You draft the best player available. So, for example, the Pistons' two best players are Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond. And if there's a power forward or a center who is available and is supposed to be the next, Shaq or whatever, you draft that guy instead of drafting a small forward or a point guard, because, you can always build around that guy and derail everything and, really take off for the future, if that makes more sense. I really broke that down better in the last video, so go ahead and check that one out. But if you guys could only have one player between Jeff Green and Glenn Robinson for the same amount of contract, for a good contract, who do you want? I prefer that we would go ahead and get both of them, reasonable contracts. But I am very curious to see if we buy John Lure out. I'm not sure who it was, so I'm sorry. But they told me that if we bought him out for $5 million, that we'd have an extra $5 million to spend. So that means we would have $15 million, which is completely different, because that is a next tier guy. A sub all-star kind of a caliber player. Usually all-stars make anywhere between $20 to $30 million per year based on incentives. 15 is half of that. So you could get a really good player for $15 million. So I'm very curious to see if that happens. Of course, John Lure has to agree to it. Will he? I don't know. I think if he does, he'd get $5 million and get a league minimum and go somewhere like Golden State, or whoever's going to be the next dynasty, depending on how the next season ends, and possibly get a ring. So that's something to look into. But that's all I got for you guys. So let me know how you're feeling about this. Instagram, Twitter links in the description. Go check those out, and I'll see you peeps in the next one. Peace.